Let's go. All right, so it is time for the next webinar. This one is with Innospark. It is a wonderful long-term partner of ours. You must have participated in XCulture the first time at least 5 years ago, maybe even more. And the only reason that we had gaps when Innospark did not participate is because we would like to have a different list of companies every semester. And so Innospark participated so much that now if you Google Innospark XCulture reports, you can find literally depositories of like hundreds of reports. And I don't know who puts them there, but it almost seems like students feel compelled to share their work with others. And because it is part of the course, in many cases what happens, professors are not happy that students can see work of others and sometimes maybe even copy it. And so we try to then alternate. But when it came to the children's version, I couldn't think of any better company than Innospark to be as a partner. And here we are with this company. And so we have here Aista Zalaite. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
So that is, you are the manager for the marketing efforts of the company, right? So basically the person who manages all the marketing activities, which is very appropriate given the nature of the challenge. And so let's give Aista then an opportunity to talk a little bit about the company, the products, what they do, how they do it. And then if you have any questions, as always, just raise your hand. We will add you to the speaker panel and you will be able to engage in the discussion directly. Or you can just type your questions in the chat and we will see them. And then also I send an email to those who cannot attend live that they can just send questions by email. And I will keep my eye on the emails in case any questions come that way. In fact, we already have a few. All right, so then I'm switching to our presenter and the floor is yours, please.
Okay, so thank you. So my name is Aista and I'm a marketing manager at Innospark. So as you may know, Innospark was founded in 2012. So it's not so long ago. And we are a design studio which sells and creates creative toys for kids. We are actually really inspired by children, and we believe that if we create products for children and we can like influence their imagination and contribute to their life. So we have a variety of products. Maybe you have also looked through our website. We have three main big products. It is the light table. Actually, the company started from it as the founder was inspired by idea from Regia Emilia childhood appraising program. And she brought this idea to Lithuania and started manufacturing here. And now Adudu light tables are like in 80% of our local facilities, children facilities. So it's a good achievement for our company. Also, we designed sensory space dividers, which are like a private space for children, and they can use it to improve their fine motor skills, to have their reading corner, and to actually like spend time alone if they want to. And also the third, our biggest product is Tetra Cube. It's actually a really fun construction toy. You can, from 7 details, you can construct various structures. You can make a robot, or you can make like small like armchairs or sofas to sit with your friends and enjoy it. Or sometimes children just like to play it and have a lot of fun. And also we have a lot of accessories for these 3 main products. And every year we start to, and we want to design something new, and which would also contribute to the children imagination and creativity. So yeah, that's about our products and a little bit background. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So if we're talking about the Tetra Cube, I think I'm sharing my screen. So is that the thing or is it something else?
It's actually inspired by the Rubik Cube, but it looks a little bit different. It's like, yeah, a soft toy which you can sit on, and it's really nice to touch and play with. So.
Well, we have a lot of questions, so let's go to those. So you said
Okay.
your main products are the light table. So
Yeah.
what is that? Is that like a big touch screen table, or what is it? How does it work?
Yeah, it is a table actually, like the name says it, and it's not a big one. It's like 60 centimeters in the length, and it is illuminated so that children can play with the lights. So it's very interesting for them to see objects put on the light table surface. As the light, you can see objects differently. And also you can paint directly on the table with thick paint, and therefore children can imagine different things and see colors differently. And also we encourage sand play on the table, and it's also like meditation, not only for children but as well for adults.
Oh, that's interesting. And so all of those toys, I imagine, are designed to kind of develop creativity. So it's educational, creative, not just simply killing time.
No, we actually, and our customers are the ones who really want to spend time with their children and help them to find themselves, to learn what do they like, what they don't like, and also to increase their creativity from the early age.
Now, these are bigger toys, right? That's sort of like industrial sized toys, let's call it them that way. So who are the buyers? Are those mainly individual buyers or more like daycares, schools, or organizations?
For now, our biggest clients are actually daycares and kindergartens, because it's really interesting for them to try these things, and also not only one child can play with them, so it's really comfortable. And but in the recent years we are also increasing our share of individual buyers across the world, and it's becoming really interesting for foreigners as well.
Probably that's the question we should have started with. Somebody sent an email asking, how did the company start? How old are you? Whose idea it was? Why educational toys? Why not something else?
Yeah, so the company started in 2012 by Vita. She's my boss and founder of the company, and she really tried different things in life, had different jobs, and one day actually, of course, after she had a son and she was trying to find what she would like to do next in her life, she found this Reggio Emilia approach to early childhood education, and her mother is also a kindergarten headmistress, so she also contributed to these ideas that maybe there is a lack of educational toys in our country and worldwide, especially those who won't like have a particular features, but to could actually enhance creativity and don't have particular function, just to be like multifunctional products. Mm-hmm. So that's how it started.
And then, so where do you sell your toys? I assume your clients are not only in Lithuania, are they?
No. We have our online shop, and also we work with distributors. And of course, the biggest share of sales we generate in Europe, especially in Latvia, as it is our neighboring country. But each year we have an increasing number of countries buying our products. Like in 2017, 16 different countries bought our products. So it was really wide spectrum of countries like US, Australia, Japan, Singapore, and of course in Europe. Many countries.
I didn't know that. That's 16 countries. That's actually quite global, especially if it's from Australia to the United States. Yeah, that's literally the whole world. Huh. Very interesting. There is one very interesting question and something that I never thought about. Is language an issue with your products? You don't really use like interface language. Children from any language group can play with those things, right?
Yeah. Actually, it really doesn't depend on the language. You just like language of creativity. You can say like that. So also we have one like creativity set, letters and numbers, where children can learn alphabet. So we just like have English alphabet. So that's the only.
Well, if it's Latin, I suppose it would also work for French and Italian and all those
it's
other languages.
really adaptable to different countries. So
another very obvious question, I should have thought about that. What are the age groups for which the toys are designed?
Actually, it's quite complicated question because usually we say that it's suitable for children from 3 to 8 years old. But actually, we have clients who bought for their children who are like 1.5 years old or 2, and some of them even play when they're 10 years old or 12 years old. So it's really.
I would play with one of those. I mean, give me one. Why not?
Yeah. So it really depends on the child, and actually, one of our goals is that those activities will just change throughout the period of life, and that you can adapt them, and therefore you can use it for a long period of time.
Yes. Quite a few children started asking questions here. So we have Gemma, Advay, Tatiana. I added you to the speaker panel. So if you would like to go, just unmute your microphones and just ask. I see, in fact, Gemma, I see your microphone is already unmuted. So would you like to ask your question?
Hello, I'm Gemma.
Hello.
I would like to ask, how many different toys do you have?
Yeah, so we have 3 big products, and I think 8 or 9 different creativity kits. So it's more than 10 different products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Are you open to making even more toys? If the kids come up with some very interesting ideas for whole new toys, would you be interested?
Yeah. Actually, we are always interested in new ideas, and we are now developing new products. So we are really excited about this new ideation project. So
yeah, very nice. Advay, Tatiana, Christus, if you guys have questions, you can ask them now.
Hi.
Go ahead, Advay.
My question was, how did you get the idea to make the Moonite table, and how does it help kids?
The light table, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, the light table idea is comes not like from our mind, but it's from the Reggio Emilia approach. And actually, there are a lot of studies made that light attracts children attention, and therefore they can really concentrate while doing something when the light is on, especially like on the table, and therefore we find that very interesting and beneficial for child's development.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yes.
Okay.
Stephanie has a very interesting question. If you would like to go ahead and ask it. So this one is more about business, and then obviously Tatiana, Christus, Advay, if you guys have more questions, please go ahead.
Hello, this is Stephanie.
Yes, Stephanie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
So my question was just what makes these toys different from the toys that are currently on the market, such as toys like Leapfrog or Fisher-Price Learning. Some of those have lights as well.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, they have a light, but our selling point is not only the light. We are truly good at design, and actually in the market, it is really difficult to find products which would be useful for child development and as well be actually good looking. And sometimes, especially in kindergartens, there are a lot of toys who has like a particular function, but their visual appearance is not that good. So therefore we want to combine also functionality, design, and educational value.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, yes. We will talk a little bit more about competition if we have time. Several other people did ask, who are your competitors and what do you do to make yourself look different and, you know, be loved by customers? Christus, I see you raised your hand. Would you like to go ahead with your question?
Yes, have you ever collaborated with any, like,
I'm sorry, I can't.
Christus, can you repeat your question? Yes.
have you ever collaborated with anybody?
Have you ever collaborated with anybody? Okay, that's a good question.
In terms of product design, no, we haven't collaborated, but we have had collaborations on our social media with some bloggers who tried our products and then they wrote reviews and shared with their followers.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Anyone else? Advay, I see you raise your hand. Go ahead.
So as your toys, so how do you price them? How do you price them, like, depending on the product?
Yeah, and also I see there is another question from Oleg, the same thing. So what is your pricing strategy?
Well, in terms of price, it's actually complicated as our products are really expensive because of the production costs, because those products require a lot of man's work, and therefore we cannot make a lot of changes in the prices, as the biggest share still is the work and material. So it's like a really complicated issue for us, especially because we don't have our production site. We just have different partners for different products.
Right. So where do you make your products? I mean, I assume you said you source out some of the production parts, right? And you do the assembly yourself, right?
We source everything out. Everything is made in Lithuania, but we don't have like our own production sites, and different companies make different products, and then we take them and pack them. That's.
I remember years ago when we started talking or working with Innospark. At some point, you used to make some stuff in shop, and I think that's just too expensive. It's much more easier to outsource the production to the companies that do it on a larger scale to your specifications and design. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's true, because we have a lot of different products and they require really different materials. So
right.
we would want to have our own production site, so we had to have like a lot of different qualifications. So it would be really difficult for us, especially that we are not that big now. So.
Yeah. In fact, for the kids, if I can use this opportunity to share, so among the XCulture partners, we've had big companies like, for example, Mercedes-Benz, or for example, JCB, that's the company that makes tractors and excavators and stuff. And I thought that Mercedes makes their own cars. I mean, like, it's a Mercedes car, so I thought Mercedes makes it. Turns out that actually about 90% of the components in the car are made by somebody else. So a different company makes the glass, another company makes the tires, another company makes the paint, electrical motors, wires, just about everything. So what Mercedes really does, they design the car, they make some of the components of the engine, they assemble it, but most of the things that you actually see in the car, somebody else makes it. So every company specializes in a specific product, and Mercedes just places the orders, tells what they need, how many units they need, and then just puts it all together. So that makes much more sense, and the total price turns out to be much more affordable then.
Yeah, that's true.
Stephanie, Tatiana, Patricia, I see you had questions. Please go ahead and ask them now if you would like to. Anyone? All right, so let me go back to my questions then. How do you currently market your products? What is your marketing strategy essentially? Where do you advertise and what do you do to convince buyers to buy your product?
Yeah, so we have various accounts in different social media areas. So of course we have Facebook account, Instagram, Pinterest. Also we have like Etsy for the also sales, and all these platforms are part of our marketing strategy because they have different features and different audiences, and therefore the content really differs throughout these platforms. And also we also send the newsletter to our current customers and to everybody who just signs up. And we our strategy is actually to connect with the customers, as actually our products are not like spontaneous. People don't buy it like spontaneously.
Right.
Because their price is higher. So usually they take time to consider this purchase. Therefore, it's really important in the long run to state all the qualities of the product and show the customer the value it adds to their life.
So let's talk a little bit. I see there are more questions. I see Adve, your question, but before we get to that, so when it comes to marketing, right? So one thing is to make a product, but then another thing is actually trying to sell it. And so for a company like Innospark, it's a relatively small company. I assume advertisement channels like TV or magazines is not always the best way to go. It's expensive, right? And it's not very targeted because your buyers are basically principals of schools, daycares. So it's not something that you would advertise to the general public. So what channels do you use? You said newsletters. Anything else that you do to reach those potential buyers?
Yeah, of course, we tried like advertising in Facebook and Instagram, but actually these ads haven't performed well.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore now we just like create content which would be valuable for the customers, not just pretty pictures or
Right.
something like that. And also we sometimes perform like direct marketing, that we are writing to various boutiques who would like to purchase our products, and also to the wide spectrum of kindergartens and facilities and big chains in different countries.
Yeah, I also imagine there would be maybe some conferences or fair trade shows where you know, educators come to. So perhaps
in our country we tried this, and actually it really works because usually people really need to see the products,
right.
to touch the materials, to try different activities, and then see whether they're fun, whether children like it or not. So the direct contact is actually important to our products, and sometimes it's really hard that we don't have like a physical store.
Right. Makes perfect sense. Adve, I see you raised your hand. Would you like to go ahead and ask a question?
Yes, so last night I was reviewing your website and I was checking the products. So why don't you make videos for your products? Because a client or a customer would not have such a good clue with the picture.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that's a really good point, and it's always in our agenda to make videos, and sometimes we do some videos in the office and share it on our social media. However, on the website, you need like a really high quality videos, and you like need a professional cameraman, and it's like additional expenses, and usually we don't spend money on these kind of things, as there are a lot of things we need them for. So it's like in the future we really would like to have those in our website.
Okay. But if you have good ideas for the script for that video, kids, maybe you can provide it, and so maybe they will make it. So
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Advay. Patricia, Tatiana, I see you have questions. I also see there are some questions from Serhi and others, so let me add you, allow you to talk, and if you would like to go ahead and ask your questions, go ahead. Ayalita, I see, I'm not sure if it's Ayalita or her father. I know it was her father in the previous webinar. So you can talk now if you would like to ask a question, please.
So as you said, you have your products sold in 16 different countries around the world. Also, Gemma is also asking this. In which country between all of those 16 are you the most successful?
And why?
And why, yeah.
So the biggest part of our products were sold abroad. Latvia is the #1 country, because we have a distributor there who really helps us to sell our products. And the second country last year, it was US. Actually, and there were a lot of different private customers, and I think that mostly our work on social media helped to reach United States, because a lot of we get a lot of questions from people from the United States, and they take the second place. And also the third country, it was Germany. So yeah, it's in Europe, it's not so far away, and the shipping costs are not that high, and they're also like very interesting in child's education there. So
Yep, thank you so much. I see Serhi had a very interesting question. Serhi, I added you to the panel here. Would you like to ask it live? I can read it if you would like to. Serhi. And I see Patricia is trying to talk. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I was asking whether there are maybe tools to update the tools as the child grows up. I have a nephew who easily gets bored with a tool. He works with one, then later on he feels like, okay, he's outgrown this one and he wants to move on to another, like maybe toy to play with. So I was asking if it can be like maybe modified as the child grows up into it.
So basically, how difficult would it be to modify your product if the children get bored with it over time? Is it possible to add new features, or?
Yeah, actually, it is possible, especially because we every year we try to create different accessories, different creativity kits, so that kids could play with different materials and try new things. But also our products are good for that reason, that different materials which could be found at home also could be used by while playing with them. So it's really you really don't have to buy all creativity kits we have. You can use natural materials from the outside, for example on the light table, or different strings and shoelaces, for example, on sensory space divider. So it's very versatile, actually.
Yeah, you're right. So with the light table, it's only a foundation, right? You can put anything on it and play with it. Sand, paint, anything else.
Yeah, so you can make like a nature lab and explore the tree leaves on it. We had the customer who showed the X-rays on the light table for the children. So yeah, so there are various opportunities, and it really depends also how child uses it, but also how parents try to involve children in the games and educational.
Yes. There is a very interesting question from Sehi here. He is asking how much has the company changed since 2012? And I suppose also what were those changes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as far as I know, because I wasn't from the beginning in the company, so there was the founder, Vita, and also there was a designer, Neringa, and together they created and developed the products. And actually it was only like in Lithuania market, and throughout the years company grew, and I also came into the company. I did an internship here, and later on I stayed here, and therefore before there weren't any like marketing position, and Vita was doing all of it, and now we like share these positions, and there are more work we can do, because of course we are just small team. We have like 3 members in the team, and it's sometimes it's really difficult because there are a lot of work and a lot of things you can do, but not enough time and people. But we manage, and each year we see the growing trend, and that is really good for us, and we expect that in the following years we could also like expand our exports and strengthen our position in different countries abroad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the years I've seen the company, and it's been like, yes, about 3-4 years, 4, maybe even 5. I know you've gotten somewhat bigger. It used to be that there was only basically Vita, and now you say there are several people. I know there was also a time when you tried to make those toys in-house, and obviously economically that doesn't make sense. So I know now you just said that you switched to outsourcing, which makes, again, perfect business sense. And also I remember there was only the light table in the beginning. Now you have all those different toys, right?
Yeah, and we build new products around all the products we already have, because we believe that you just have to create the whole environment for children, and we want to, with each product, we want to add some new features to their development.
Yes. Now, Tatiana, I see you raised your hand, and Gemma has a very, very interesting question too. So if you would like to go ahead and ask your questions now, it's a good time. I don't know, Gemma, do you want to ask a question? I really like it. So go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you make products in other countries instead of exporting them?
So what you mean is, if you sell the product in the United States, can you make it in the United States so you don't have to ship it? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough question, because actually we are kind of afraid of the production abroad, because then we could not control it. So, and that quality is really important for us and our company, and we are known for it. Therefore, it would be difficult to not be physically responsible for the production in the other countries, and therefore we would really need to have like reliable partners which we could trust. And actually it's a really hard process finding them and making products abroad. But of course we are thinking about it, and actually now we have several contacts who would be interested in doing so, and now we are like in the negotiating position.
Yes, and I imagine also, Gamma, there is something called economies of scale. It's a very big word or expression, but what it means is that when you make something over and over and over again, then it becomes cheaper to make the next unit. Like, for example, if you wanted to make only one phone, it will cost you a lot of money to make that one phone. But if you make 1 million phones, then making one extra will be cheaper because you make them over and over again. So you have all the materials, you do the same operations again, so it becomes cheaper. So I assume economically, it probably would make more sense to keep the production in one place so that you can have those economies of scale, right?
Yeah, it's also true, but also we have like products which are very labor intensive, and sometimes the number of products made doesn't make any doesn't make better the production. So there are a lot of issues here in production.
Right. Tatiana and Advay. So I see Advay has a very tough question. I don't know how to answer it. Advay, would you like to ask it, or Tatiana, if you want to go first?
Okay. So let's suppose that some other company or businessman offers you a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money to sell the company. Would you actually sell it, or would you just let it go? And what are the biggest risks that you have taken?
Okay, so in terms of selling the company, I don't know, it's not really my place to say because I don't own this company, but as far as I know Vita's view on this, I really doubt that money would encourage her to sell this company, because she really believes in these products and the value they add. So I doubt that, really.
But if you would like to make an offer, if it has a lot of zeros, maybe you'll be locked in.
We're open to the possibilities.
Yeah.
But maybe we would like to for you to invest those that money to the company, that we could make a lot of different and interesting products, because we have a lot of ideas, but sometimes the resources are a difficult issue.
And the other one was, what are the biggest risks you had to take, and perhaps what are the challenges that you're struggling with?
Actually, every week we face different challenges, and I think that the production is still the main one, as we have to control different partners and the quality they make. So it's really sometimes frustrating, but we have to spend a lot of time there, and actually we would like more to make new products and design them than to spend time on the searching for the producers. It's really actually this summer I think they spent like 3 or 4 months searching for manufacturers who could produce one of our creativity kits. It's like sand gardens, those tools for playing with sand. And then you, when you look at these tools, you think, oh, that's not so difficult to make, and there should be a lot of people who makes them. And it was so tiring to search for a person who would do this, because some of them would really ask for a huge price, and some of them wouldn't able to do them correctly as we wished. So this challenge is actually the most important now for our company.
Right, makes sense, yes. Tatiana, so I know you raised your hand several times and somebody else always jumps in front of you. So if you want to ask your question now, please go ahead. And I'm not sure if it's microphone issue or something, because it seems like we give you the chance all the time, but it doesn't work with the sound. So maybe it is a microphone. There is an interesting question again from Serhii about the production methods. So is it all manual or is it industrial? And I assume it depends on whom the part comes from, right? But
yeah, it really depends on the product, as we have handmade products, and also we have products who are made industrially. So the bigger ones combine these two actually, and the small ones, it really depends on the product.
Sounds good. Margareta, I see your question and I'm not exactly sure what exactly you mean. So maybe you should ask it yourself. So you ask something about, did you mean hate or was it some spelling error? Why don't you ask it and we'll see better. So go ahead, Margareta. Hello, hello? Could be also a microphone issue because I see you muted, unmuted, but there is still no sound. All right. There is another question that just came by email, if I can ask that one. When it comes to selling your products, so you said you don't have your own stores, obviously, but do you work with stores, or if the kids were able to find a store that wants to buy a few of those tables, for example, and put them on the display, would that work? Do you have policies about that? How would it work?
So yeah, we work with stores. There are several stores in Europe who has our products, but actually it's not very successful at this point because I don't know. We think sometimes that maybe it's difficult to sell our products when you don't know a lot about them.
Yeah, right.
Because you really sometimes we really have to explain for adults the possibilities you can have with our products, but actually for kids it's much easier as they just try, they just go, and you don't need to explain for them. For example, this summer we exhibited our products in one of the shopping malls, and children didn't have like any problem to figure out what to do with them. They just played and had fun, and a lot of talking you have to do with the adults actually.
The children didn't need a long user manual, right?
No,
but I know exactly what you mean when you say you have to explain the product. I imagine if you were selling, for example, toy cars, people look at the toy car and they know right away what it is. And it's either they like the colors maybe or the size or not, but they at least know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have something that is completely different, it's not immediately obvious what to do with it. We actually had the same problem with XCulture Kids. So when we were recruiting participants for this round, so we tried some advertisement online. And the problem is that you cannot really explain what we offer in like 5 seconds that people spend on the ad. I mean, if it was a private school, for example, we would say it's a private school and everybody knows what a private school is, and then they would just ask about the price and location. But how do you explain to them in 5 seconds that we will take your kids, put them in international teams, they will work with kids from all around the world and try to solve challenges for real companies, and they will communicate? Like, you need at least 5 minutes to explain it, right? And so that was one of the challenges we faced, and I imagine it's the same thing with your toys, because when you look at it, it's not immediately clear what exactly it does. You don't see all the possibilities, right? So yeah, you really have to. So anyway, I see there are more people asking questions. So Tatiana, I see you raise your hand again. Let's see if the microphone will work. Oleg has a very good question. Margarita, so if you guys want to go ahead, please. Your microphones are unmuted. Just ask.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Celeste. So my question is, do you think about diversification of your business? Maybe some other products for children, of course, but maybe something new?
Yeah, actually, recently we created another light table. It's called Bonnie. It's in the production and we are also selling it now, but it's a little bit different this time, as it's not only for child center environment, but also for the adults as well, as it is a really piece of the interior, and it's already won several design awards, and therefore we have a question whether it is suitable only for kids, or should we consider it as a total furniture for different, like for the living room or for working spaces. So we don't know if we are entering this different market, but it's like a possibility for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So are there any questions?
Oh, sorry, my microphone was muted. So there are a lot of questions that are coming from the kids, and there are two very interesting questions, one from Gamma and one from Advay. If you guys would like to ask them now, I don't know which one wants to go first, but I really like them, and I don't know what the answers will be, by the way. So go ahead, please. Advay, Gamma, would you like to ask your questions?
Okay, I'll go first.
Go.
So, if you could change one thing about the company, what would it be?
He's only 9 years old, and I don't know, or 10, I believe, so I don't know how to answer that question.
I'm 12 years. I'm 12 years.
12, okay.
Difficult questions here.
If you change one thing, so what would you change?
I don't know. It's like if I could say it would be a change. Yeah, I think we could name it like that. But I would really like to change our office and actually to have the showroom for our products that customers could actually come to our office and see and how these products work, and children could play with them. It would be like a really nice update, and we could like make photo shoots also there, so it would be very useful for us. And because now we have a quite small office and we have a lot of different products in really tiny space, and it's getting really crowded here.
Yeah, but that would be nice. I imagine that would be also expensive to do, right? So
we're thinking about it, so because it would be like a useful upgrade for us, so maybe in the near future.
Yes, thank you. Gamma, you had a very interesting question. Would you like to ask it? Go ahead, please.
If you could change one, are there kids in your team?
Are there kids on your team? And I kind of know the answer to that question, but let's see what the company says.
The founder, Vita, has a son who is 11 years old. So from the very beginning, he was the major critic of the products in the company. And even now, he thinks that he's too old for some of them. He still tries the new products and tell his opinion. Also, I give try products for my nephews, so we always try to rely on children's opinion when creating new or trying our products. So yeah.
But the most important thing, and I will say that very seriously, Gamma, you and the other, 60, 70 kids that participate in XCulture Kids, you are part of the team now, at least for the next 8 weeks. So that's the reason we have you, because we wanted someone like you on the team. And so it is your opportunity to provide input, ideas, and yes, you're basically a member of the team now, at least for the next few months. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if you come up with such a brilliant idea that the company will love it so much, maybe they'll even say, you know what, Gamma, maybe you should come and join us here. We like you so much, why don't you get a job with us? And be our, I don't know, major designer maybe, or marketing specialist, or who knows. In fact, when we go and talk about the XCulture University, every single semester, quite a few students do get job offers from the companies for which they sort of worked as consultants. And so we actually have some companies that hire people every semester. Obviously, those are people, you know, who are older. Some of them are 20-something, some of them are 30-something. But again, I don't know, if you do a great job, maybe they will like you so much that they will want you on the team.
Yeah,
so,
who knows?
Yeah. So I see Aelita raised her hand, and then Advay has another question. So go ahead, guys. We don't have that much time, so please.
So, what sparked the idea to make toys for children of a small age?
Well, it's when people have children, especially in their early age, they're really like interested in their education, because every mom and every father wants to be proud of their little children and wants to give them everything what is best for their future. And actually, since the early age, like from 2 years old, it's it's like really important part of the child's development in their life, because a lot of things are changing in these years, and you can have a lot of influence at this time. Therefore, we really want to use that time to give children the opportunity to really express themselves and to find what they like and what they don't like at this point.
Yes, but the true answer is probably because adults sometimes like to play too, and so they say, I'm designing it for my children, but then you see that they sometimes spend some time playing on those toys themselves.
Yeah, actually, we when we are making photos of our products, just to post on the social media, and we're really enjoy playing with them, especially with a light table when you're using sand or painting. So it's really relaxing part of the table.
In fact, there are many people who are actually sand painting artists, right? So they spend time, painting with sand. Yes. Agbe, you had another question? Please go ahead.
Sorry if I have so many questions, but this one is just came in mind. When it comes to the company, what are you most proud of?
I can say that from my own perspective, I'm really proud that last year we really increased our brand awareness across the world. That not only in the world but also even more in our country, that people really know our brand, and it's like they know that it will be a quality product, that it will be a really design looking product, and it's really important for us that people would think in this way about us. So
yes, if I may add to that, when we select partners for XCulture, we always look at sort of like the impact the company can make. And so if you probably noticed, we've never had companies that make, let's say, for example, like soft drinks, or maybe, like some junk food. Because, I mean, you can make a lot of money selling that stuff, but it's not something that we support. And so we try to select companies that not only are in the business of basically making money, but also in the business of making the world a better place. And so a company that makes educational toys, it's a company that not only benefits themselves, but also benefits the society. So we want more companies like this. And so that's how we select our partners. Those of you who attended the previous seminar, it was the same type of company. So it was a company that operates creative schools. And again, so they invest essentially in my future. So depending on how well these companies do their job, my life may be better. I would like to be surrounded by people who are creative, who are, smart and intelligent. And so Innospark is one of the companies that actually contributes to that future. Obviously, they may not be impacting all 8 billion people, but I mean, even if it's only 20, 30 people, it still makes the world a better place. So I really admire companies like that. Yes. Anyone else, because we're pretty much out of time. We always try to stay at around 15 minutes, 45 minutes. And so now we're a little over time. But if you guys have any other quick questions, I see Aelita raised her hand again. And then
yes, there is a question.
Yes.
There is a big question. Have you ever thought about different position? I mean that you are making a complicated, expensive, very quality stuff. What about the opposite position? In our market, there are lots of expensive toys, but very, very rarely you can find something cheap and easy. I mean that when I was born in Soviet Union, I used construction kit, which was very simple and very interesting to play with. Now I can't buy it. It's very expensive, and if I saw it in the market, I would buy it.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Well, when we are making and developing new products, we don't like we don't think that it will be expensive.
Right.
We are thinking about the concept. We're thinking what value it would add and how it would benefit all our customers and children themselves. So, but later on, we also want to choose the materials which actually would contribute more to the natural area, and therefore we don't like to use plastic in our products, and therefore the production becomes quite expensive, and the materials therefore quite expensive because we just don't like unnatural materials. So I don't think that in the near future we would change the course of our product development in terms of the quality, and because quality usually really sets the price. So it would be difficult to produce cheap but quality product, especially that we are not like big manufacturers for now.
Talking about size, we have a lot of questions. I see Tatiana is asking a question, how long does it take to make one toy? Agbe is asking a question, how many of them do you make? And then there were a few other questions before. If you had a lot of orders, can you make many more of those toys? Is it a scalable business? So can you talk a little bit about the size, perhaps, numbers that you have now and numbers that you could potentially satisfy if these kids come up with a brilliant marketing strategy and you have an order for 10 million of those? Would you be able to satisfy it?
Yeah, so talking about the product development, to develop a product and to bring it to the market, it usually takes up to 2 years.
That's from the beginning, from the design to the actual market-ready product.
To the actual market, it's about 2 years, because there are a lot of preparations. The one thing is to design the object. Of course, it takes time. Later on, you try to find the manufacturers, you make different prototypes, then you see that some things work, some things don't work, and then you try to bring them in the market. And we have seen this, especially with our sensory space dividers, that we actually, the first one was produced, I think, more than 2 years ago, and only this summer they really hit the market, and people kindergartens as well as private customers really start buying them. We really needed a lot of time to explain the value to people and to develop accessories that it would be even more interesting to play with it. So yeah, it's quite a long process. And the other question was about...
So first of yes, can you scale up your business? If you all of a sudden started getting more orders, would you be able to satisfy them? And then I suppose when they ask how long does it take to make a product, it was not only the development cycle, but I assume, for example, if you get an order for a new, let's say, light table, how many days does it take to make one?
We usually say that it's 2-3 weeks to produce a product, but yeah, actually it really depends on the time of the year, because at the end of the year we have the most of our sales come at the end of the year, so the time can
have some money left in the budget and are afraid if they don't spend it, it will vanish. So
and there's a Christmas time and the
parents' time.
Gifts, right. Yeah. Right. So then it's up to 1 month, but it also depends to the place we are shipping to. So
are you normally making the products for existing orders, or do you have an inventory ready to be sold?
For some products, we have like inventory, but it's not like a big one because we don't have like a warehouse where we stock all the products. So usually we try to keep in stock several products at all times,
Yes,
because there are usually there are some urgent buyers who just like need for the birthday party the next week. So we stock them. And in terms of the numbers and the possible increased sales, so if we would receive like many more customers, so we would need to reconsider our production, especially if it would be like quantities of, I don't know, like 200 each week, or I don't know, or 10,000 of light tables, for example. So we would need like different partners and to think how to make it efficient.
Yes. One more question. So shipping. So how does it work? Like, for example, you said I can now go to your website and buy one of your products. If I am in the United States, or we have people, for example, in XCulture from India, from Austria, from the United Kingdom, Ukraine. So if they wanted to buy your product, would it be a problem that they are in a different location? Can they still place an order, and will it still be shipped to their country?
Yeah. If
because these are big toys, right? You cannot just put it in an envelope. So it's
no.
a larger.
No, they're actually big boxes, and they weigh a lot. For example, light table weighs more than 10 kilos. Sensor space divider weighs 15. So that's really a piece of furniture. So
Right.
yeah, we ship worldwide. So there is no problem for ordering our products. So.
Right. All right. So we're pretty much out of time. So if anybody needs to ask one more question, I have a few people here added to the panel list, so you can ask it now. But we don't want to take too much time of our presenters. It is Monday, and I'm sure she's had a long day. So last minute question, anyone? I see a few raised hands.
Well, could I say that?
All right, go ahead. It's only question number 25 from you, so I guess.
Okay. So Tetia also had the same question as me. So are there any days in which you give discount to your customers, or are there any like discounts like Christmas sale or Black Friday?
Are you trying to buy one of those tables for your school and you're trying to get a good deal?
Something like that.
For kindergartens, we consider providing them with some kind of discount, especially if they're buying more than 2 light tables or other products. So there is a possibility. We always say that you can ask, especially if you're daycare, kindergarten, school, or any facility for children. So we could consider that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one last question, even though we are over time, Tatiana asks a good question. Do you have a page in the Instagram?
Yes, we have our Instagram. It's add2toys. It's also provided in the...
Yes, I think we have it on the top page of the challenge instructions, your Facebook.
Yeah. So please follow us, see how we are doing there, and maybe
you
will have some suggestions.
Alita actually helped while you were answering, so she provided the link to the actual page. So wonderful, yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So good night to those of you in Asia and Europe and Africa, and I guess have a good day for those of you in the Americas. And we will have another webinar like this one a little later, so we will have an opportunity to ask more questions. And hopefully by that time you will actually have some ideas perhaps you can present and maybe get some feedback so that you can use it in the remaining few weeks at that time. So thank you so much. Very nice to meet you, Aiste, and so we will hopefully see you again in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Good questions.